And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, the absolutely Premier League show. The internationals are over. We're back with Premier League football, and we've got a lot to cover tonight. I hope you're all doing well, having a fabulous week so far. It's definitely autumn. The trousers are on. It's serious business now. The shorts may well be out for the summer, which means that there's lots and lots of football going to be happening soon, because that's what the autumn means, that we are well and truly into Premier League. It's match day 4, and who could I have alongside me to come and support me? And we'll find out why we may need supporting later on. But Grimmy is here. Grimmy is here to talk all things Premier League. How are you doing, Sir Grimmy?
Yes, very well. Thank you, Sam. Very well. How are you?
Not too shabby. Not too shabby for a Tuesday. Yeah, we're getting by. We're getting by. Are you enjoying the autumnal weather change? Are you getting that autumnal weather change up north, or is it just a permanent sunny spa up there?
I don't think I've ever described the Northeast as a sunny spa before, and I don't think this is the time to start. No, we are very much in the middle of autumn. But again, whatever weather it is, for me, it's shorts weather. I'm one of those bizarre people that can wear shorts anytime. It could be 6 inches of snow outside, I'd still be wearing shorts. So that shall continue on forevermore.
Okay, 24/7. That is a man of the Northeast. A pair of shorts for all seasons is Grimmy. And of course, it's not just Grimmy with us as well. We have the wonderful Heather is with us as well. There was a South Coast derby, but Heather will say there wasn't a South Coast derby in the Championship. It was more kind of like one in the Premiership. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Enjoying having a football back for sure.
It is. Did you enjoy the international break, or were you one of those that was just waiting for it to end and Premier League football to be back?
The latter, but I did. So my family always wants to do stuff, and they want to do stuff on Saturdays, and I'm like, nope, you can't. So we went and did. It's like a steampunk experience in London.
Ooh.
On the Saturday when there wasn't any football, so that kept me entertained.
A fair play covers the gap. We see what you need to do, Heather, to get those Saturdays back is get into Europe this season, and then it'll be Thursdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
You won't have that worry to do. But of course, we have our wonderful people as well in the chat as well. We have Dylan. Hi to you. Hope you're well. Graham, lovely to have Graham back. Even to you, Graham. Hope you're doing well. Spenny fan Chris is with us as well. Good evening, folks. It's nothing but rain and wind. No surprise here in Durham. Well, there you go. That's what you expect. It's what you expect. But what we do expect to do is talk about Premier League football. So let's get straight into it. Let's not muck around, because we've got one that's going to make somebody very happy to kick things off. Bournemouth 2, Brighton 1. The South Coast derby between Bournemouth and Brighton. As I said, one of 2 South Coast derbies this weekend. It was all about the derbies this weekend.
The only important one, of course.
the only important one. And Bournemouth have gone and won again, Heather. Fantastic start to the season. 3 on the trot. Best ever start in the Premier League. 3 back-to-backs. Tell us about Bournemouth beating Brighton.
Well, initially going into the match, Brighton's not exactly a bogey team, but we haven't beaten them very often. And they are a very good team. And we knew, you can see straight away on the score sheet, Mitoma, he always scores against us. I think we've had a few draws lately, and we've had maybe 1 win since I've been watching, and a couple of losses. So it was one of those that you weren't sure how it was going to turn out, but it was also my birthday on Friday, so I was like, come on lads, you need to get a win for me, and they went and did it, so I was very happy.
They did go and do the business, and of course you had that man Semenyo on the goal scoring sheet again. I think
that was a penalty.
A penalty, but they all get. And did he get an assist for Scott as well? Was he credited with that? I think he was. No one's got more FPL points than Antoine Semenyo, so I'm sure he's in your team, isn't he, Heather?
He is, but the week before, he didn't really do great on FPL, so I took the captaincy off of him, and that's why he's done. That's why he's done well this week, because I'd obviously any player that you don't want to do well, let me know, and I'll make them the captain.
Make the harsh manager, Heather. Like, no, one were bad, but you're off. You're off that captaincy.
Yeah.
You've let me down. You can't have those risks of too many no pointers. But he's a man for many points. He scores lots of goals, and of course, Scott getting a goal as well.
And that was a brilliant goal. That one by Alex Scott. It was fantastic.
A really good goal. What do you think's been the key to sort of settling in this season? Because obviously you've had such a change in the defence with both your centre backs and your left back going, and then you've got Truffert started really well. You've got Senesi, and obviously you had your young Serbian centre back.
We did, and he's an amazing find. I don't know how our recruitment team are doing it, but when we saw him on the sheet, we were like, oh, who's going to be the right back then? Because Adam Smith's out with an injury, and they ended up putting James Hill there, which is a bit of a strange choice because our backup right back is available, but he's obviously just not favoured at the moment. So we did have a completely new back four.
It was a completely new back four. As you said, like that young lad, was it Milosevic, I think? I don't want to butcher his name. But I think he was on sort of one of those lists, wasn't the European Wonder Kid list that they were sort of talking about coming through the ranks. But obviously, the scouting team have looked well at him. And coming straight in for Diakite being out as well. Like a strong debut. You think, is he the next one to come through to keep your eye on?
He looks so assured. You wouldn't think he was 18. You'd think he's 28. I can't remember what their player was that just randomly punched him in the back for no reason when they were sort of all lining up in the goal. And he just shrugged it off. And he was brilliant.
And I'll say you dominated in terms of the shots on target. She said Brighton always can be a bit of a sort of tricky opponent for Bournemouth in the past, and they had moments in the game, I think, in the sort of second half, didn't they? Once they scored, and but then Bournemouth settled, and 3 wins off the back, and to be fair, a very good performance at Liverpool as well. Yeah. Is it because you've got these new players, because of how settled Iraola is with that structure in the team, that it's easier for new players to come in?
I think it's just his coaching, to be honest, because as you saw last year, when we had 12 of the first team out, he managed to put players in all sorts of weird positions that they wouldn't normally play in, and that's when we got the most wins. So I just credit him with, he's the one that we need to sign a new contract. We've got 3 people that have re-signed this week, but he's the one that we're all really keen to get over the line, because without him, then I don't know what we'd be doing. But yeah, he's fantastic. I think I do a lot of credit goes to him.
He's done an absolutely stunning job. And of course, the key moment of the game being the penalty. Oh, heck, Jean-Paul Van Heck with the tackle on something itself, wasn't it, to get there for the penalty? It was Evan Nilsson, wasn't it? The foul was on Evan Nilsson, I believe.
He's great at winning penalties.
He draws the foul in. Some Brighton fans not happy. Was it a case of sour grapes, Heather? Did you see any contention in the decision? Or
from where I was sitting, because I sit behind the goal where it happened, I couldn't tell whether it was or not. But then when you look on the replays, it definitely was. And there also should have been one on Brooks earlier in the game. So, they were lucky that they didn't have 2 penalties against them. So they haven't got a lot to moan about, I think.
There you go. And for Brighton, that's now, they obviously had that great result against Manchester City. But as we saw kind of last season, Grimmy, Brighton away from home seems to be more of a sort of struggle for them. Do you think, what do you think it is with them away from home versus Brighton? Is it just a case of maybe the early weeks that Everton and Bournemouth are not easy places to go anyway? Not that there are that many easy places now in the Premier League, but such a difference between home and away form.
Yeah, of course, they'll get a lot of confidence when they're at home, but away, sometimes it's just a case of a bit of luck going your way, and it's always fine margins in these games. Yeah, I mean, like you say, I think the thing I would chalk it down to is you've got the first away game at Everton's new ground, and you've got Bournemouth, who are in pretty good form and always play well at home. From whenever I watch them on TV or anything like that, they always seem to be playing well at home. I don't think I can remember in recent memory anyway them having many bad home games. Obviously, Heather will be able to tell me a lot better when she's sitting behind the goal. But yeah, so I just think, yeah, it's always going to be tricky away from home, and sometimes you need that bit of luck. But yeah, I think the better team won on the day, really. So yeah, it's just unfortunate for Brighton. They came up against good Bournemouth.
Did indeed. Said fantastic start for Bournemouth and a weekend of derbies. There's the Eddie Howe derby next weekend because he's returning to Bournemouth. He always gets a good reception, though, doesn't he, Heather?
He does get a good reception, but he hasn't been able to bring himself to beat us yet.
It's very kind of him.
That's a good visitor. You know, he brings a bottle of wine, I'm sure, for Iraola as well, and then lets you have the 3 points. That's a fantastic visitor. Very nice of him. So a lovely guy is Eddie. See, it's a lovely guy to do so. Do you fancy yourselves in that, apart from the fact it is obviously Eddie Howe and your record with Newcastle? Again, one that you think maybe we could have four on the trot, cement that Champions League place.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to beat us. We'll definitely get at least a point from that game. So.
Okay, Ever says it there. Get it on your coupons. Get it on your coupons. So Bournemouth beat Brighton. There was another derby, Grimmy. There was another derby. Thankfully, I have you here for moral support because we have to move on to.
I don't know if it's moral, but support.
it's some kind of support. Just hold me up in some way.
Yeah.
Manchester City 3, Manchester United 0. The kind of result that made us wish it was another week for the international break, just for that moment of respite. Grimmy, where do we start with this?
I don't honestly know. Is the God's honest truth? I looked at the team sheet and I thought we've got Bayindir in goal, we've got Fernandez in the middle, and we don't have Cunha back, even though there was a possibility he might have been back with those training videos. And I just thought we're going to get overrun in the midfield. And Donnarumma being in goal for them, I thought it was going to be even more difficult. I mean, he pulled out a worldie of a save against Mbeumo, of course, but I think that was really the only thing that you had to do off memory. I'm seeing the stats of 12 shots, and I generally can't remember half of those shots, unless they were pot shots, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, City made the most of the chances and played better than us. I can't really say anything else than that. Foden obviously had a good game. I'm looking forward to everyone saying that he's the best thing since sliced bread again when he's not played for 18 months and then he's played one good game against us and it'll be, oh, he's the best thing. And then the next second, everyone will be saying United are crap, which, to be fair, the second bit is true. But yeah, and I expected Haaland to score a couple of goals, and he did exactly that after scoring 5 last week. So yeah, kind of a hiding to nothing, really. Positives. We
haven't got to play again for 5 days.
Presco didn't get injured. I don't know. Just top to bottom, it's like derbies can go one way or the other, obviously, as can any match really. But you know, you hope that it's not going to be a battering or anything like that. But pretty much as soon as that first Foden goal went in, I didn't really feel like we were going to get back in the game. So yeah, it was just a bit of a miserable day all over, really. But the aftermath of it as well hasn't helped my mood because we've got Jim Ratcliffe coming out and saying that he expects us to get top 4. And I just say, what part of our squad is telling you that we're getting top 4? Like, yes, we've got good players in and around the squad, and you know, we can probably put a good first 11 out that could match up with a lot of people, but we aren't nearly consistent enough. And some of the players we had in that starting squad on Sunday, i.e., the likes of Bayindir, Luke Shaw, I'd argue Fernandez wasn't great on Sunday either. And, you know, Sesko hasn't hit the ground running, unfortunately. But again, I'm willing to give him time, plenty of time to get used to it and for us to actually give him some decent service. And I just think that we're using a lot of square pegs in round holes. I know it's a common term in football analysis, but there's a lot of players that just shouldn't be anywhere near the squad, and we shouldn't be using them the way we're using them. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to change anything, even probably in January. So we have to try and make the best of what we got, and the best of what we've got next is Chelsea at home. So, yay!
So yay. Positives on them, boys. And it's funny, fan Chris says Foden always seems to score against United as well. He does. I think it's only Haaland that scored more. Foden. As soon as I saw Foden starting, I was like, oh, here we go. Yeah, we're out of this. And he says he's sorry, but the club is rotten to the core. And it's
you don't need to apologise, Chris. We already know it.
And it's hard to argue. You know, it is. That was a product of the symptoms, wasn't it? Really, on the Sunday when you look at everything going on and you look at. I think, as you said, Grimmy, the lineup, I looked at the same and went, Bindier gives me no confidence at all. I know, you could argue not really his fault for any of the goals, but still the presence wasn't there. I think he should have been out quicker for the second one, but I think Donnarumma saves that. And that makes a difference. City went out and got a Donnarumma, and we obviously are trying to bed in the new lad. That was the decision that they took to do. But again, same. I don't think... you can't play Bruno in a 2 with Ugarte. It's madness. I think we got away with it there last season. We did the same thing. I have no idea how we got away with it. It doesn't work.
City were so poor, that was why. City were in the middle of that run where they were losing pretty much every game, and they were so poor that we managed to keep ourselves in the game, and then 2 bits of brilliance got us out of it in the last 10 minutes. We didn't have that today, on Sunday, sorry.
They didn't pick us off in the same way, did they? They didn't have that ruthlessness last season.
No,
and they had Jeremy Doku that was just...
Yeah.
I mean, I only watched the highlights, but he looked incredible what he was doing. So
yeah, he was taking the ball and driving at people, and the rest of the City squad, none of them put a foot wrong. Like last year, they had a bunch of players who were out of form, out of fitness, etc., etc. And we created 2 chances in the last 10 minutes, and that's literally how we got that game. The game should have been a draw, in all fairness, I think, because the quality of both sides was so poor last year, but City were on it. And when you see Haaland scoring 5 goals, you know for a fact he's going to be wanting to do something. You've got Rodri coming back. He's obviously been out for a while. He's got a point to prove. Bernardo Silva's kind of born for these derby games or big rivalry matches. So yeah, there's no one in our squad that I can point at and go, he's going to put in a good performance for us today, or be 100% certain that they're going to. I think likes of De Ligt and maybe Mbeumo, I'd probably be confident of like a 7 or 8 out of 10 most weeks, but that's really about it at the minute. And that's the concerning things, including the fact that the reports are now coming out over the past couple of days that there's supposedly the players are not backing Amram and his system and this, that, and the other. And as soon as those reports come out, generally within a month or so,
it's Groundhog Day again.
Our manager is usually gone. So unless he pulls an absolute blinder against Chelsea, I think he might be gone during the next international break. Like, I'm actually at that point. Not that I want him to go, or I think he should be sacked, because the club itself is failing the manager, in my opinion. But if the results keep going the way they are, and say we lose 3-0 against Chelsea, and then we've got Brentford after that, we could well lose that game with how they're doing defensively. Like, yeah, I just think we need a couple of results, and we need them quick. If we don't, I think Amram's going to be shutting the door, I think.
It's tough to, like, I mean, we understand why, why the time is been given, and kind of rightly so, I think, with it. But you can't ignore that record. 31 points in 30 games is atrocious, absolutely atrocious. We're not winning football matches. There's no, I think at first, like, this is the way we're going to play, and we knew that United needed some discipline. The players needed a clear kind of focus and way of doing it, but the complete inability and willingness to change. It's not a modern day football manager. You've got to be able to flex and change and do. The best football managers don't play exactly the same. They tweak and they do different things. Didn't take a genius to see that 2 in midfield was getting killed at every kind of opportunity and do something slightly different. And I think I've seen it in a couple of post-press conferences. I think Fulham did one. They said, well, we know United are going to do this, so we do this. It's like, You're playing top managers who know exactly how, and the blueprint's out there because every team does it pretty much every week to kind of catch United cold. So I mean, I think like the Amorim thing, like Simon says, he should have stayed in Lisbon. He was being mentioned as a successor to Pep before he left Lisbon. I think United are failing Amorim, and then it's also not working in that capacity either. He's got to be more flex, and it might be one that. Look, if it goes the inevitable route that we think of, it might be one that he'll learn from and then take away and go, okay, well, maybe it then goes on to do something. It's looking unlikely that that's going to happen at Man United with the setup that it is. Yeah. But as Spenny fan Chris says here, sacking him will change nothing. We'll go back to the same old stuff. We'll be back in that cycle again. You can't see that way out of it. But I think I heard someone describe it as it's possibly too big a job for him, but it's too big a job probably for anybody. Like it, in terms of what the expectation is immediately, because with Manchester United, everything is either fantastic or rubbish, and it's been rubbish for quite a period of time. Because we're only on game 4. We're only on game 4. And if you take the Grimsby result out of it, you've got 4 points, which is the same as, a number of sides, Nottingham Forest, etc. You only need one result, you're back in that. You've lost to City and Arsenal, who we're not competing with at the moment. Miles away from, and while the performance against Arsenal was good, it showed that we haven't got that capability, and that wasn't the best ever version of Manchester City that we've ever seen at the weekend, but it was way too good for us. Haaland was brilliant though, by the way. I thought Haaland was as electric as I've seen Haaland. Haaland's back to being a massive problem.
Massive cheat code.
Yeah, he's doing very good, but it's just on top of the Amorim system, there's just constant individual errors. So it's hard to sort of say it's that, because then you see like the second goal. The second goal was a farce. Ugarte held the ball too long, played the ball to Shaw in a position he shouldn't have done. Shaw took the wrong decision with his touch and movement. We got away with it because it went back to Maguire, who then panicked and hit no manager can legislate for that level of stupidity. And then as Graham says here, you've got a high back line, 10 yards on the half. I'm watching Harry Maguire chase after Haaland I felt like I was watching the fridge in Wallace and Gromit on the moon when he's kind of like going down the hill.
What a comparison!
Trying to get himself going, and I'm just like,
there's a throwback.
Yeah. This is just sad to watch. So, what do we do from here, Grimmy? Is there anything that we can do apart from just trying to ride out week to week?
The only suggestion I can even think to make is if he is adamant we're sticking with 3-4-3. Is changing it so that when we don't have the ball, is that one of those 10 drops into the midfield. Now, the way to do that, in my opinion, is if you're playing Fernandes at the 10 and you're playing, say, Casemiro, Ugarte, or Menu, whichever two you choose, doesn't matter.
Play Menu at some point.
Basically pick two names at a hat and put them in the midfield and hope for the best is my strategy on that. But as soon as we lose that ball, Fernandes drops in and gives us a free-man midfield. As soon as we get the ball back, he's back up top and he's doing what he usually does as a number 10. But there is no flexibility with that. He doesn't change it when we've got the ball or when we haven't got the ball. And that's the only thing is putting another man to help that midfield is the only way I can change it or think to change it with the way he does it. So if he went 3-5-2 and we had a three-man midfield, I think that could work. But he isn't going to change that. And I feel like we could go lose to Chelsea, Brentford. I think it's Liverpool after that. And I still think he's going to play in the same system because he's making a point that basically these players aren't good enough to do what he wants to do, and which is fine. But when you're in the middle of October and you haven't won a game since Burnley, you need to do something because you can't go losing games forever. Because one, you're not going to be there anymore, and two, the fans aren't going to be having you at that point. So, yeah, we need to see a performance on Saturday. Obviously, goes without saying, but will we get it against Chelsea? I don't know.
I don't know. They've got to come. They've got to come out and somehow get ahead in that game somehow by firing to take because. It's just, and I don't know because you don't want to go behind to that Chelsea team. So I think a similar kind of thing will happen to what happened at City. And it's one thing happening at the Etihad, but to happen at Old Trafford, I think would just kind of almost be the final nail to a point. But it's it's just kind of, he said it, he's going to die on his sword. He's going to die on his sword, and he's prepared to do that, which just tells you that he's not going to change to do anything different to try and get something different out of the team unless something crazy happens to him. But it's a bit like he's got a toolbox of stuff, and there are players there, and there's a squad, and there must be a way of getting something out of some of these players. You've got talented lads there, and I know Cunha didn't play at the weekend, but Cunha and Buemo were excellent last season in the players they played. No one had more goal sort of involvements over the past 5 years than Bruno Fernandes. He needs to be further up the pitch, not the back. He can't smell the danger out. But so Amon keeps going to talk. It's like, hammer. No, should we use a screwdriver? No, hammer. Let's go back to the hammer. There's a screwdriver there. It's a no. We're gonna hammer it.
What's happened to Mason Mount, by the way? Because he looked really good in pre-season.
Yeah,
injured again.
Yeah, I think that was a big miss. You couldn't make excuses for the weekend, but Mount and Cunha had been linking really well up on that kind of left side. That's been one of our biggest threats early on this season. It was great. It worked well against Burnley. It was good against Arsenal, as you said, Heather, in pre-season as well. So to lose both of them, really, I think, just settled that side. It was Sesko's first start, and he's clearly coming into a team short on confidence in front of kind of goal, and they don't know how to link up with him yet. That was kind of obvious from the weekend. But I think you could, Grimmy. I think you could play Bruno in the 10s and you have Cunha as the false 9, bringing Sesko into the game at different times, depending on who you're playing, early days. But yeah, to lose Mount, hopefully Cunha's back next week.
Well, God knows we need him.
We do need him.
But yeah, I think that we are getting to a point, though, that I don't think, as much patience as the board has given him, I don't think we get to October. I don't think if we lose the next 2 games, I think he's gone.
Yeah,
I don't.
Radcliffe's made that statement for a reason today.
Yeah, like saying the expectation is top 4. You don't make that unless you are considering it. Like, there must be something going on in the background. They're obviously hoping Amorim turns it round, but they will have a plan B. What that plan B looks like, I don't know, but I guess you have to go someone in the Prem, I guess, but who that is, I couldn't tell you.
Say who it is and say to try and prize someone away to persuade them to come to United at the minute, which seems to be the impossible job. I think I know the 2 names who I would ask. I don't know if I'm allowed to say one of them based on who's on the podcast today. Heather's going to go nuts if you
but
say.
Heather might
it's
go.
All right. It's been all over Twitter, and there's no chance.
Well, okay, I won't say his name then. I'll go for Glasner as well. I think Glasner's, with what he's done at Palace and what he's done with a team that has a lot of, obviously had good players up and down it last season. They've kind of lost that a little bit with Eze, but he's still making them very solid despite that. And I think a lot of the top clubs around Europe will be interested in him once the Palace days are gone. So maybe that's the one we go for. But other than that, outside of that, I honestly couldn't tell you. Luckily, Big Ange is off the table. And he's at Forest, so we don't have to worry about him. Maybe
Big Ange. We've got a row of ex-Man United managers that have been sacked recently, but I think I just got it to somebody at work as it's like the Power Rangers, putting them all together like the Megazord.
Oh, behave yourself,
Gary O'Neill. Christ. I think surely.
Well, some people ever.
surely can't get any worse than that. But so just quickly before we move on, Heather, Manchester City, Haaland looked absolutely electric, and from Foden's, there's clearly some stuff off the pitch with Phil Foden. Seems to be the last season. It was wasn't in the squad a lot of the time, some issues, but came back and looked like that. New haircut as well. Sometimes a new haircut changes everything. Yeah. Are you excited to see more of that Phil Foden, the one that we saw season before last?
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. And also, if he's doing well at City, then he'll get back in the England team, and they certainly need him.
He's a special talent for sure.
Yeah, but once when he's playing well, he's just unplayable. Really, it's amazing, and that header was fantastic.
It was great.
It was a great header. And then
it's fantastic. I loved it.
Grimmy had a great time,
Yeah.
as did sadly Erling Haaland, who is looking like he's going to be back to the battering ram that we know for sure. But we'll move on, Grimmy. Do not worry. Do not worry.
Thank
we can
you.
talk other football for a little while. We've
I
done
appreciate
part that. Arsenal 3-0 victors over Nottingham Forest. They've also won tonight in the Champions League. A very good 2-0 result away in Athletic Club Bilbao. Not an easy place to go. Martinelli coming off the bench in that one, so almost showing the squad depth that they have now as well. Because at the weekend they went with Madueke and Eze with Gyökeres up front. But Martin Zubamendi, Heather, did you catch the volley of Zubamendi for the first goal for Arsenal?
Well, yeah, I watched the highlights. That was another fantastic goal. I mean, all of the highlights that I did watch, I was just like, oh, there's been some incredible football play this weekend. Because sometimes you watch matches and they're just like, oh, there's nothing happening, but they're all quite exciting.
Yeah, it was a good game. I watched this one live because it was the Saturday lunchtime one, and it was always going to be a tricky one, I think, for Forest, with Ange coming in there, and obviously he has style A versus style B of Nuno, so he's never going to input that on the players within a day and a half heading to the Emirates. So he kind of stuck with what they had. So I think this was almost like a free hit to an extent for Forest, but for Arsenal were very good. I think there was a sort of performance that you see them put in at times at the Etihad, not the Etihad, sorry, the Emirates, where they were dominant. Victor Gyökeres, Grimmy, getting off that, but it was one of those goals which you want, which Arsenal have been screaming out for number 9. Quick ball from Eze across the line, and he's there, 6-yard box. The Van Nistelrooy area, as I like to call it.
Oh, don't mention that guy's name. Oh, please. Oh, I'm depressed enough with our football without mentioning the legends as well. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, it was. It's this exactly the sort of goal they needed. And to be fair, he could have had an absolute thunderbolt if he hadn't hit the ball with one of them. It was quite a tight angle, but yeah, he's starting to get going now as Gyökeres. So watch out for the rest of the league, I think.
And I think he's one of those strikers as well where he can disappear out of games, and that's where if he's then not scoring or whatever, then the criticism kind of comes. But he's definitely got that desire, that the right moment in him, as you said, that strike that he took. I can't remember the last time an Arsenal would always play that across the goal. I can't remember any shot forward that they've had that kind of would take that on, and it would have been something special. Simon, of course, loves him for his Coventry appearances a few years back. Says can't wait for the lad to prove some Arsenal fans wrong. And yeah, he's got himself on the goal. He's got himself on the score sheet, and 2 from Zubamendi, who's not really a goal scorer as well, to sort of add in there too. David asks, "What's happened to Forest this season? Can't see the wood for the trees recently." Heather, Grimmy and I spoke on this last week, so we'll come to you on that. Obviously, probably the strangest managerial sacking. Yeah. If you'd have said in the summer this was going to happen, obviously what happened over the past few weeks, it was going to head to this point of Nuno going. What do you make of the whole Nuno out and Ange in at Forest?
It's absolutely mad. Me and my friends were saying, is it that he's done this deliberately? Like he's publicly gone against the owner and stuff because he knows he's going to get a big payoff, and he's got quite a high ceiling now because he's got Forest into Europe. They were doing so well last year that like they'd come up from, I don't know where they were, like 14th or something, wasn't it, the year before? And they finished really in a good position. So we thought perhaps he jumped before he was pushed, and he deliberately put all this stuff out about the owner because he knew what was likely to happen. So, but yeah, it's mad that they'd let him go when he's got them to where they are. And appointing Ange is interesting.
It's very, very different. It's a very different indeed. And he'll get this free pass, and then obviously I think he said he's going to try and implement stuff kind of slowly the way they play, which is obviously a very, very different way to the way that Forest currently play. They have a lot of talented players though, Grimmy. They brought quite a lot of players in. A lot of players we haven't really seen too much of yet as well. You know, they've got people like Douglas Luiz who's barely seen a minute that we know can perform in the Premier League. So how do you see this going for? Is it going to be patchy while they put it together, or do you think that there's enough talent there that they can do the business straight away?
That's a very difficult question to answer, to be honest. My gut is telling me that it's not going to go well because, again, we criticize Amorim for obviously not changing his system. We know how Postecoglou is going to set his teams up and what they're going to try and do. I just don't think the players that Forest have got, especially in the defensive side of things, are capable of playing that sort of system and high line, because that's what they're going to have to do. And I think with obviously Nuno, they were obviously playing quite deep and playing quite defensively and waiting for the counter to get the ball up the pitch quickly. And obviously they've still got the players to do that. It's just that I think Ange is gonna totally rip the script up. I mean, he said in his post-match interview that basically from now, Ange ball's in play, and from Wednesdays, I think it's Swansea in the cup they've got. They're basically going to be trying to implement that as quickly as possible. So, yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to implement it. I don't think it's going to cause them to have to worry about relegation or anything like that, but I would expect them to maybe be lower half trying to adapt to this new system whilst they're trying to get it right. But they do have the talent to maybe make it work as the season goes on and they get a bit more experience of it in the legs. But initially, I think they will struggle.
Yeah, it's going to take some time to put that together. And David says, I read this out in two parts because it feels like it needs to be said. So they've got the right manager now. If they want to finish bottom half in Ange, he's not happy with Ange in terms of Forest going at the table. He might be happy. He might be happy because he doesn't want Forest to be up near the top, but isn't a fan of Ange. And Space Man Chris says, yes, it's Ange ball. It's Ange ball time for Forest, no doubt about it. But we'll learn more about Forest in future weeks, I'm sure, than we learned at the Emirates probably. So next up, we have a Desmond on screen. Grimmy, the long throws are back. Long live the long throw in. Brentford they've got not one but two. Kevin Sharder and Coyote can absolutely launch that thing into the net. Is this why they appointed Keith Andrews? On his birthday, they gave him the present of a late goal from a throw in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, Keith Andrews has said it. I think it was, I can't remember which game it was. It might have been the Villa game when they were having to defend and they were scrapping for that win. I think he was saying that he loves having to defend for a win or get something out of it. So like people coming to Brentford are going to obviously have a tough time getting anything out of it. And I think they were good value for the point. I didn't really think Chelsea until like the second half really kind of kicked into gear. And Brentford, they made the best of the weapons that they've got, whether it's set pieces, throw-ins, whatever it is. They're making the most of it, and you can't fault the start that they've had because I think a lot of people, including myself, have put Brentford as maybe strugglers, but they are sitting, I think it's mid-table at the minute. Yeah, they're 12th. So again, if you told Keith Andrews at the start you're getting 4 points from 4, I think he probably would have taken that considering the weapons they've lost and the sort of experience they kind of lost up top. But, you know, they've brought experienced people in and they're doing a good job so far. So, yeah, long may it continue for them, I guess.
I think then bringing Kelleher in is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
That's, that is going to really save them because he was pulling off some worldies he did some great saves there.
And I think the one that's kind of been overlooked a little bit with Brentford, obviously got on the score sheet again this weekend, Kevin Sharder. I think, he had a good season last season, but all the plaudits were kind of going to Visser and Embremo. But Sharder really came into that side well last season and seems to sort of pick that mantle up a little bit at the start. David says he tried taking a long throw after shoulder surgery, didn't try again. I think, that sounds probably the best. Probably safer for you, David, to maybe be on the end of the throw-in, not the long thrower, perhaps. Maybe that's the way to go forward with it. But so, an important point there for Brentford and getting back. But Heather, Chelsea dropped points for them. Cole Palmer came back off the bench, so another sort of returning. He's been out for a few weeks.
Palmer came back and scored a goal almost immediately, didn't he? So
yeah,
he's obviously from the Haaland school of football.
Oh, he's ice cold, Hera. That's what it is. He's ice cold Palmer, as we know. It doesn't take a lot, but and Caicedo with a wonderful hit, which Chelsea thought that they'd won it as well, didn't they?
That was probably the best goal of the game, wasn't it? It was fantastic, though.
It was a strike, an absolutely fantastic strike. And so Grimmy Garnacho tried to take some credit for the for the assist for that one, a blocked cross, but was undone because he was the man who was supposed to be marking Fabio Carvalho just minutes later.
One thing I will say, just quickly talk about Garnacho, is no matter what the result is on Sunday, if that man graces the pitch, there is one instruction to all the defenders, and one instruction only: leave a mark. That is all.
I always remember the one. Was it Ashley Young when Di Maria?
Ashley
came
Young
back?
and Di Maria. If you carbon copy that, you're in the Hall of
turn.
Fame for me forever. I'm building the statue outside Old Trafford if you do that for me. That's all I say.
That's all he's asking for. But on Chelsea, Grimmy, say 2 points. 2 points dropped. Obviously, they go to Old Trafford next week. With where they're at, but it's still I've watched them in bits of games. And it's still a formidable team. No Esteval they had last week.
Mm-hmm.
Can Chelsea get up there amongst the? Are we placing them at the moment? If you're looking at kind of, I think everyone had pretty much the same top four, and we did it in kind of different order. Do you think Chelsea have got more of a gap to catch, or do you see them on par with the Man City? Where do you see them so far?
I think they've had a good start to the season. I mean, they'll be frustrated by the Brentford result. They'll be frustrated by the way the first home game was, because I watched that in its entirety, and it wasn't liquid football by any stretch of the imagination. But, they've still got good results to West Ham and Fulham. And so, they are scoring goals now. It's just obviously they've got to maybe clean up one or two things up defensively, and I think they'll be fine. And if you wanted to find another win, there's no better place to go than Old Trafford at the minute. So I think they're going to be all right. But yeah, in terms of answering that question of where they're at, I think they're in around that level of City, maybe just a little bit behind Arsenal. But again, the fifth after 4, the 1 point behind second. I think they would have taken that realistically at the start, because again, the games they've had, the Brentford, the Palaces, they're tricky games to play. They're not easy to get through. So yeah, I think once they get tougher competition, we'll see what they're really like, because again, they turned up in big games last season. If they can keep this sort of run of form going, where you're getting draws and wins and you're not losing a whole lot, I don't think many Chelsea fans are going to complain with that.
No, this is it. I agree. I think about that. They got pipped by a moment there against Brentford, and they had a tricky draw against Crystal Palace, but performed well both in the West Ham and the Fulham game, despite obviously the contentious decision, shall we say, about Fulham, and Marcus was not happy last week, but a happier man that will come on to not too long time. Simon says he doesn't get the Garnacho signing, never rated him at United. What I can tell you is he rated himself. He certainly rated himself.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. He's now a blue. So there you go. And Champions League latest, of course, was Spain fan Chris on the video printer. Benfica 2, Karabakh 2, and Juve 0, Dortmund 1. The Champions League is back. The Champions League is back tonight. How exciting indeed. So as we're cracking through the Premier League, we head to West Ham, who last week we gave a little bit of credit to because they performed well and they got a result late on against Nottingham Forest. But Heather, they've conceded another 3 goals. Another kind of disappointing loss in front of their home fans. It's not it's not looking.
They're in the mud, aren't they? Really
in the mud again. Where's this? Their odds are dropping all the time, like a stone for sort of relegation. Is this another one? If you're looking at kind of, how some United fans are looking at Amorim, do you think this is West Ham fans with kind of Potter thinking this isn't going to work? This is only going one way.
I think that I don't think Graham Potter is going to be able to manage anywhere. It's like Chelsea. He did so well at Brighton. And then he went to Chelsea, and Chelsea seemed to just completely destroy him. And since he's ever tried to manage anywhere since then, it's just not been great. I don't think he'll be the first manager sacked, but I think he won't be long after that.
Yeah, he may well be the next on the list. I think we all had him sort of down before Nuno stepped in to walk or to kind of walk himself off the plane.
I had Scott Parker, but
well, yeah, none of us had Nuno. To be fair, that would have been a very difficult one to predict. But so we've done West Ham quite a bit in the last few weeks, but talk to me about. Tottenham have had a very good start. I've been very impressed with how Thomas Frank has really got them together early. They look a real proper outfit now. They've got a decent midfield in there. Youngsters like Burval, very exciting. Van der Ven's back fit. And how important having Van der Ven and Romero fit at the centre of that defence?
Oh, hugely. I mean, we saw it towards the back end of last season with the Europa League run, how much of a difference they made coming back. And, they're a much better team with them both in than either of them out, really. It's just so much more balanced at the back. And yeah, Spurs have started brilliantly. Obviously, they had the blip against Bournemouth, but I feel like a lot of teams are going to have that sort of performance against Bournemouth this season, just to keep everyone on the good side. But yeah, I think it's been a good start. I think if you'd offered 3 wins out of 4 Spurs fans at the start of the season, with some of the questions they had about Frank coming in, because I know a lot of them were concerned by Frank being the choice, but I think he's had a brilliant start, and he's been pretty tactically astute in every game he's played, or he's managed, I should say. And yeah, they are very much in the battle for top 4 in my eyes. I can't see them fading away too much or doing a Spurs, as everyone calls it, and being a total mess. Obviously, you expect City to maybe climb back into that argument for the top 4 or 5 places, but yeah, I think Spurs are well within a shout for Champions League football next season.
They are, and they're certainly enjoying it at the moment, because in the Champions League, they're winning 1-0 against Villarreal, of course, the yellow submarine of Spain, getting the job done so far, and a great start. You say you add that, if they go and beat Villarreal, if that result stays the same, off the back of that Super Cup, great performance against Paris Saint-Germain that, almost brought them a trophy, and, they came back into it late, of course. But, the win against City, very good. Comfortable wins against Burnley and West Ham as well. Away at Brighton, very different test next week. So interesting to see. Of course, they lost to Bournemouth because, Bournemouth are beating everybody in the minute. So it's
beat everyone.
It's just what happens. And most importantly, on the stats, 13-2 in corners. That's the stat you all look for. So, love a good corner at Spurs. Yeah. Thomas Souček off for West Ham as well, and that one didn't help them at all. Right, so we've got a couple more smaller sort of games we'll sort of go to. Then we'll go to the rest. We've got no Europe today. We're going to have a little look at what's been going on in the Champions League when this is all kind of finished. We're gonna mix things up a little bit this season. There might be some FBL now and again. We might do around Europe, etc. But we just go with the flow. We just go with the flow. Burnley's flow. Oh, Burnley's flow.
Oh,
Burnley. I mean, Neil Dan's tears. 90 plus 5. You're watching it. Such a very good defensive performance. That's what they went for. They went to sort of shut Liverpool out, and they were doing it very effectively. Liverpool, while at 27 shots, only 4 on target. Nothing was cut. And similar to what happened before the international break at Old Trafford, Jadon Anthony had that crazy kind of moment, the crazy tackle. Mm-hmm. Hannibal Grimmy, with moments left in the game, inexplicably threw his hand out to stop the, no. And the poor lad, you could sort of see it was like, oh my Lord, what have I done? What have I done? How about it?
I did feel truly sorry for Burnley. I really did, because they defended brilliantly, and I know the shots tend to paint a picture that Liverpool were all over them, but Liverpool weren't really that fluid. They were struggling to get by and really get anything. Salah was basically non-existent all game, and it was just they could only have lost that game by throwing it away themselves, and that's exactly what happened with Hannibal. But again, you've got to take away the mistake at the end, if they can just get that out of the system and not make silly mistakes against the teams like obviously Liverpool and United, Burnley will pick up plenty of points playing that way. And I feel more confident in them staying up this season than I did when it was Company in charge and they were trying to play the fast-flowing, passy football. I think Parker has obviously got them defensively so well organised that they can go toe-to-toe with most teams and keep them out. It's just they've got to get rid of the silly errors because that could be what kills them. They're lucky that there's other clubs around them who will probably make more daft errors or who may struggle to keep teams out. But if they can keep that defensive consistency, they do have a real chance of staying up. It's just that Hannibal error was just, I can't even put it into words.
It was such a heartbreaker for them and a heartbreaker of the fans after that kind of effort that they put in. As you say, Grimmy, this is a different Burnley to that we saw last time they were in the Premier League, more resolute, more difficult to break down. I think there's more threat as well on kind of the counter attack. I think they've got, I like Cullen as a player. I think Josh Cullen's a really clever player and really key to how they kind of tick. And they've evolved well. Don't forget they lost Josh Brownhill, of course, in the summer, who was so crucial to their promotion, in terms of goals and importance there. And Liverpool was never going to be the one where they're going to come out and sort of play expansive at home. It would have been suicidal. So they did very well. But on the other foot, have Liverpool got over the line again? Every game so far this season, it's last. I was watching it, and you just knew, you just
knew there was going to be a penalty, didn't you?
Yeah.
It was going to be the way. But they have scored late in every single game, and I think, as the old narrative, champions score. I think this was different because it was given to them. Do you know what I mean? Burnley gave it, and they did, but Salah was never going to miss that penalty.
I think even if that silly mistake hadn't have happened, there would have been a way that they or the powers that be would have made sure they won.
They would have found a way, but they've got 4 wins. They've not been fluid, I think, as Greeny said at all. There's plenty more to come, no doubt about it. They've got a lot of players are still embedding. We've not seen the best out of a number of their signings yet. Alexander Isak hasn't touched the pitch yet either, which gives them another kind of threat. So, but the one thing I would say is that if you're looking at it from a neutral perspective, I know what David's saying here. He said most fans will be crying about how easy Liverpool have won 21 trophies. I do think it's close. I feel it's closer this season. It's what I've seen so far. I feel that Arsenal are more of a resolute team with more of a squad. I know Liverpool won that game last week, but it's early days.
Arsenal's got a striker now, and that's going to make the difference to them, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've got more of a squad and a depth to do it. I think while Man City played very well at the weekend, the jury's still out of the consistency of that team to maybe do it. But do you feel there could be more of a? Do you think, obviously, and Liverpool, I've seen we've got the Champions League starting this week. A lot of people obviously throwing their name in the hat to potentially win that as well. Do you think that could be something that might sort of unsettle sort of long term, or do you just think that this is Liverpool have got that knack of winning? They saw it last season, and then the performances will come on top. Do you think Liverpool will run away with it like last season, or do you see more of a tight race?
Initially, I thought they would just run away with it, but I think, Arsenal might give them a run for their money this year. As I say, with the striker, they just seem like a different team than the last couple of years. I know they've done really well and they finished twice, both times, but they just seem to be doing better. I know it's early days and everything. And Liverpool, they always seem to get the win somehow. So it's difficult to see anybody beating them to the title, but I think they might have more of a challenge this year.
They may indeed. It's going to be interesting. Of course, the Merseyside derby next weekend, which is very exciting. Graham says handball Hannibal.
Graham's back.
Graham's back. Poor Hannibal. And David says Mo's not put his boots on yet, and many others yet. 6 out of 10. must do better. There's certainly more to come from Liverpool, I think, which is the worry. And Juventus have equalised again. Desmond 2-2 in the Champions League. It's all going off with Vlahovic in the 67th minute. Which of course we were watching last week, Grimmy, on the watch along, weren't we, playing for Serbia?
We were. We said, well, I say playing. He was on the pitch. Maybe I don't think he actually touched the ball that many times.
Yeah,
but yeah,
he was there. He was there.
He existed on the pitch.
He got a cap to his name. He certainly did. And what we have here is we have Fulham. Fulham get their first win. Fulham with a first victory this season. They beat Leeds United deep into stoppage time. They got the goal. It's been a rough, unfortunate few weeks that Marco Silva's felt they've been harshly done by in their early games, and they have probably deserved more in each of those games than they kind of got. But Grimmy, if there's a way to score an own goal in the last minute, Gudmundsson certainly took the biscuit with this one.
Yeah, I feel, even though he's a Leeds player, I do feel for the guy. It was calamitous to say the least. I can't think of many that are like that, really, where they're obviously trying to do something so far away from the goal, but then it still somehow goes the opposite direction. I mean, how can you not but feel sorry for the guy? He's obviously played his best he could all game, and then there's like, right, we're getting a point away to Fulham, and then something like that happens. It's just very, very, very unlucky.
It was unlucky. The body position was kind of strange, wasn't it? And then as it came across, and it was almost like one of those that looped in sort of really slow motion. You could just see the look on his face, and he just drops and was like, "No, what have I done? What have I done?" Leeds struggling to score goals though, Heather. Like again, I think they had a couple of chances. Longstaff had an absolute rasper that smashed off the bar, but and Calvert-Lewin with a pretty tame head from 5 yards. Do you worry for Leeds and the goals?
Not really, because I want them to get relegated.
She doesn't worry for them, but
that's how you feel.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to do brilliantly, to be fair. And Fulham, I don't know how they didn't score. They had so many chances, so many near goals, and they just couldn't seem to finish them off. And Leeds, as you say, Calvert-Lewin had a couple of goals, didn't he? But I just don't think that they're quite up to par.
Yeah, so the start picked up a sort of a couple of points, etc. Obviously, the win on opening days really helped. A massive game next weekend against Wolves. Sorry, that will be very interesting between those two. But Grimmy, Fulham have a new star from Brazil with the most Brazilian name you've ever heard of. It's Kevin, of course. Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin, he had one phenomenal strike. We sort of cut inside, very kind of electric. Is Kevin the new star of Craven Cottage?
I mean, he's definitely got potential. I mean, they got him from Shakhtar, and that's usually a good bedding ground for quick, fast, pacey wingers who are going to do something in Europe. So, I mean, seeing him come off the bench and seeing him instantly go for it, it kind of gave me sort of visions of what Estevao did against Palace, really. Going for it, driving the ball at people, taking a couple of shots himself, trying to create a couple of things. Yeah, he certainly looks like a great pickup from that bit alone. We'll be interested to see how he beds in and if he gets starts soon or if they try and just ease him in a little bit. But yeah, he definitely looks like he's got something about him, which is going to be exciting to see because, again, if he can do that consistently for Fulham, he's going to be a dangerous weapon for them through the season, I think.
He does look very electric and sort of very young, very raw. So might be a good one to sort of chuck on to kind of do some crazy bits. The Lord and Savior Kevin Spenny Francis says there. Of course, we've had some famous Kevins. We've Kevin Keegan, Kevin Kilban, Kevin McAllister from Home Alone, of course.
I was waiting for the McAllister one to come out of your mouth there, Sam. I was waiting for that.
All the key Kevins, if I've missed any, let us know in the chat. Any of your famous Kevin De Bruyne. Let us know your famous footballing Kevins in this. But just the one that I think as well, the fact it's just Kevin. Like, most players, everyone's coming up with a song. I think they just chant Kevin. I just think that's better than any song you could have. Kevin. I just think that's all you need to inspire the lad. But very, very exciting. Kevin Phillips, of course, Benny Fanquist coming up with there. as well.
Did you say Kevin Keegan?
Kevin the Kitten. We did have Kevin Keegan, Kevin the Kitten as well. Kevin Owens. I think we're moving into
Kevin Owens
now, aren't we? We've gone into a different format with that one. But Grimmy will know him well.
I will. I do. Yes,
he does know
very
him
well.
Does indeed. So a good win for Fulham, 1-0. We'll have a little look at what the other results were this weekend that we haven't discussed. Crystal Palace 0, Sunderland 0. A good point for Sunderland, that Heather, away sort of at Palace. Palace obviously sort of finding their feet with Eze going perhaps a little bit as well, a little struggling in front of goal a tad, but a really good point that for Sunderland.
It is, yeah. My uncle sent me a message to say, it's a really great win for Bournemouth, and he's a Sunderland fan, and I said, well, I know it's not a point, not exactly a point, but it is still a point against Palace, who are a very good team, and how well they did last year, and considering the fact you've only just come up, it is very good result.
Yeah, I know Ant in the group chat was pretty happy with the point, against Palace. He said, the FA Cup winners last year, for them to come up and be, I think for the promoted sides, away points and draws at certain places can be absolutely massive. As long as your home form's strong, and Sutherland have certainly shown that so far. Stadium Light's going to be a nightmare for teams to go to. So points like that, I think, massively, massively important. Grimmy, what's the feel with Crystal Palace at the moment? They've had a long season, it feels already, because of their early sort of champions. They've played their sort of Conference League games. They've had the charity. I think they've played about 10 games, which is like double what everybody else has. It's kind of mad. What do you make of that? We had obviously the Gahey craziness, transfer deadline day, Eze going. Where are we at with Crystal Palace?
I mean, I think, to be honest, I think they should be pretty happy with how they've started. I think all the craziness around them, I think lesser clubs would have buckled under that and maybe lost the majority of the games and sort of scraped through Europe and got into the main draws or whatever. But Glasner and his team are made of sterner stuff, and they've kept teams out quite well. They've got a couple of decent results along the way. And yeah, I think, as with Palace, I think the majority of the time, I think the season's going to be based on the defensive stability, and obviously keeping Gueye is going to help him do that quite a lot. We'll see if he gets through January still a Palace player, because I think there'll be some clubs coming in and maybe trying to get him straight away rather than waiting to sign him on a contract. I think people might try and get him early, but yeah, I have to say I've been impressed with Palace, because I thought with everything going on and with the disruption that they've been dealing with, I felt like that could have maybe destabilized them a little bit, but they've started pretty well, in my opinion.
Yeah, pretty solid. Difficult to score against, always difficult to score against Crystal Palace. Yeah. And then we had Everton 0, Aston Villa 0. Everton, of course, the new home, sort of trying to knock on the door, but couldn't get through. Martinez returning for Aston Villa, and probably needed to put in a performance after downing his tools not to play in the previous weeks, looking like he was getting a move, but he was back making some saves. But Heather, Aston Villa need to score some goals, because they haven't got any.
Haven't got any.
Quite important, and they're not doing it.
And is it Opta?
The stats,
thing that's got all the stats. Mm-hmm. They had like the third easiest run in, and they've not scored a goal yet.
Yeah, it's
a bit worrying.
It's their worst start to a Premier League season since the 1997-98 season. And they're the fifth side in Premier League history to have not scored in their first 4 games. And
they've got Europe as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got Bologna coming up, I think. Yeah,
they have indeed, and have looked. It's just not kind of clicking at the moment. But Grimmy, if there was going to be a 0-0, Everton and Aston Villa were featured in more 0-0 draws than any other team in Premier League history. So the odds say, the odds do.
I was surprised because of the fact that I thought Everton would be certain for a goal with the way they've been playing and Grealish has been going, but it is what it is. Yeah, boring 0-0, eh?
Boring 0 was a boring 0-0. And welcome, of course, to Shah. Shah is with us. She just got home from the Dale game. Get in the Dale, doing the business.
Did they win?
I think they did. I'm sure I saw earlier they beat, was it some Blackburn under 21s, I want to say, in the National League Cup, of course. So very happy with that. Graham's in with a late entrant with Kevin and Perry for our Kevin footballers. So Shah, if you know a famous Kevin, we are paying tribute to Fulham's two young wonder kid with famous Kevins today. And Graham says it's such a shame we didn't live in an era where we got Fred versus Kevin in the Premier League.
I don't know if that's a shame, really. I think that's done us all a mercy as Man United fans, to be fair.
Battle for the ages. Could have been a battle for the ages. David does say when Elliott plays for Villa, it will be better when he does. I think he came off the bench, didn't he? So I think they'll integrate him. They'll integrate him in this next week, certainly, if they continue not to do it. Kevin the Carrot. I was going with Kevin the Carrot getting onto classic Christmas themes early on. And in a surprise to nobody at all, Carvajal's been sent off for violent conduct with a red card for Real Madrid. Dear. Yeah. Not good at all. So one game we haven't covered that's still left on that list is Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. And Grimmy, it was the new striker, Wolverhampton, who's about 7 feet tall, but apparently isn't usually scoring from headers. But he scored from a header this weekend. No. They got the striker at last, and he's scoring goals.
Yeah, as the commentator said, eyes a coup, I believe was the line. And I'm sure a lot of Newcastle fans are feeling that sentiment. But yeah, great start for him. Really happy for him to have got that early goal, because I know living up here, the pressure being the striker for Newcastle is not something to take lightly. Many have come and gone and not done well, or even started the ground off running, but he's started off the perfect way possible, just scoring a goal in St James's Park on his debut. So yeah, it was a funny one, that game, because Wolves started actually out quite brightly, and if they got a goal, it would have been very good value for the lead. Once Newcastle got that goal, they sort of settled in, and yeah, looked like they were the ones that were going to sort of continue and maybe get another couple, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, Newcastle getting the first win of the season, they'll be very happy with that, I'm sure.
They will be very happy indeed. As Spainy fan Chris says, what a wonderful header by Walter Marder. And he spoke afterwards. I thought he spoke quite well, actually, sort of as he came across quite a sort of a decent guy in his interview afterwards, and sort of understanding. He's got a big move on, and I think any big money move, particularly as a striker, to get that goal early is really important. But Wolves, Heather, hungry like the Wolves, they're hungry for points because they've got none. No points, nil points. Are we more worried about Wolves without Gary O'Neill than we were with Gary O'Neill?
I don't think that's really a thing, but I think we're more worried about Wolves without Cunha than without Gary O'Neill. I don't know who they've got to replace him, or if they have.
They've got some. I mean, you look at the losses that they've had so far. So, I mean, Manchester City 4-0 on opening day. Okay, they came to Bournemouth and lost 1-0. Again, as we sort of said, that's difficult, I think, for the place to go. Everton have kind of got the Jack Grealish bounce, if you want to call that, the start of the season. And then this 1-0 loss away at Newcastle. So, you know, they're in games, they're causing trouble. They scored a couple of goals against Everton. I think there's some interesting kind of younger players coming through, but there's none that you'd kind of hang your hat on at Premier League level. Okay, Strand Larson can score goals at the Premier League. We saw that last season. Will it be enough? I don't know. I think that they're certainly one that when you look at how good Sunderland have started this season, that Burnley look okay, Leeds have done some bits, that it does for a relegation fight this season and hope for the promoted teams. It does give hope, doesn't it, that maybe this is the season. This could be the one.
This is the first season since we went up, us, Fulham and Forest, and we all stayed up. And then every season since, 3 promoted teams have got relegated again, haven't they? So maybe at least one of them will stay up this time, because I can see Wolves getting sucked into it, and I can also see West Ham getting sucked into it. So
yeah, they're looking a bit sketchy. Graham is saying, will Aston Villa score this season? I'm imagining at some point
at Old Trafford.
yeah. There's no way we're keeping a clean sheet. At some point, Graham, I'm going to go off on a limb and say yes, Aston Villa will score a goal this season.
I'm going to look at the fixtures and make a prediction of when they're going to score the first goal.
So they've got, I think I've got it here. They've got next up Sunderland away, Fulham at home, Burnley at home, Tottenham away, City at home.
I'm going to say Fulham at home. I think they'll score in the Europa League, but I think Premier League wise they'll score against Fulham.
Score against Fulham. You're thinking another blank at Sunderland.
I think Sunderland will keep them out because they are quite sound defensively.
There you go. Spinfield says they have scored tonight in the cup. The cup doesn't count. The cup doesn't count.
Cup doesn't count. It's all about the Premier League. Everyone knows that.
This is it. This is it. They need to do it. They need to do it in their bread and butter. So let's bring up the table because we are on match day 4. We'll have a little goosey gander at what's going on. So we do obviously have at the top Liverpool, Arsenal second, as it seems like any time you ever look at the Premier League table, Arsenal are in that perennial second. But Tottenham third and Bournemouth, Heather, in fourth. Champions League.
I mean, at one point we were second on Saturday, so that was interesting.
That's very true. Those sort of dizzy
Stop
heights.
the count. Stop the
count. And then you've got to see Chelsea just out there in 5th, Everton in 6th, Sunderland in 7th, Manchester City in 8th. And then if you look at the bottom of the table, say at the moment, all three promoted clubs are outside that. Sunderland well outside that at the moment, but West Ham in 18th, Aston Villa in 19th, and Wolves in 20th. So not great at all start for those teams. But what have we got? Should we have a quick look at the fixtures next weekend? Is there any? Who have Bournemouth got next weekend, Heather? We said, was it Newcastle, wasn't it? We did touch on that earlier, didn't we? So you're feeling good about that one. We did touch on Manchester United versus Chelsea, which I don't think Grimmy and I can put ourselves through any more of that kind of chat this evening. So I'm just going to bring up the fixtures and see anything else that's fairly tasty. We start off with the Merseyside derby. That's a Saturday lunchtime kickoff. We have Brighton versus Tottenham. We've got Burnley versus Nottingham Forest, West Ham versus Crystal Palace, Wolves Leeds, as we mentioned, which is pretty crucial. United Chelsea is the evening Saturday kickoff. Then there's a later evening Saturday kickoff if you fancy a bit of Fulham Brentford. And then on Sunday, Bournemouth Newcastle, Sunderland Aston Villa, and Arsenal Manchester City, which is quite a tasty one off the back of on the back of where they're at. So
yeah, they seem to be doing that now, having the 5:30 and the 8 o'clock on a Saturday, and not having the Monday game.
They do, don't they? There seems to be a double whammy. Who knows with the TV scheduling? I'm sure there's a reason behind it that they love it. I love a good Sunday kickoff. And Grimsby have qualified again. Grimsby are going to win the Carabao Cup now. At least we'd say we went out to the winners, Grimmy.
That's something to rest our hats on for the rest of the season.
And Dortmund are 4-2 up and out against Juve. So I'll have a little look at what's going on in the Champions League. Has anybody got the Champions League results in terms of what's going on at the moment?
Apart from Dortmund being 4-2 up, that's kind of the only thing I've got at the minute.
No, so I think we touched that Arsenal one earlier.
Madrid have scored a second.
Madrid are 2-1 up with 10 men. Mbappe with a penalty and Mbappe with a penalty.
Karabakh have equalised against Benfica. It's 2-2 there with 4 minutes to go.
There's Mondo.
And Spurs are 1-0 up still.
I've just come up, Grimmy. Big chance. There's a big chance. This might be Karabagh's big moment, apparently. Big chance in the game at Benfica.
Also, can I just point out as well, Sam, after our discussion last week, when we were talking about what would we do with the international fixtures and how could we improve the breaks, FIFA just announced that they're doing a 3-week break now from the end of September to beginning of October. They obviously listen to the podcast, Sam. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. It's the first
FIFA are big fans of us.
The first thing that they do. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing that FIFA are looking to us for inspiration. It probably is an indictment of where the world of international football is.
No, they just know that good, honest people make the best calls and have the best ideas. That's what it is, Sam.
Have good decisions, you see.
Pat ourselves on the back, Sam. That's what we've got to do.
They're looking for inspiration, and that's what we look to provide. Inspiration and dreams. That's what this podcast is. Should be the new catchphrase. Karabakh have taken the lead. Kashuk in.
What a time to be alive.
What a time. Kashuk in his carrier bag. They are 3-2 up at Benfica. Living the dream. We still have to get a European pun in, even though we're not doing Europe tonight. Union Saint-Gilloise won at PSV 3-1 this evening. That was a really good win for them. And Tottenham, the goal scorer there was an own goal from Luis Junior. So there we are, Champions League. Anything else football-wise anybody would like to discuss before we go away? Any topics, anything in the news, anything you've heard of today, anything you want to bring to the table?
No, just how early do we start preparing for the emergency Amram's been sacked podcast?
There is.
Do we start preparations now and just have like a bat signal in the sky of like the Man United badge?
Should we just do a pre-recording, Grimmy? We'll just have a pre-recording, and I'll have it ready just to flip live whenever it happens. It's. I don't know. I really don't know. It's. Yeah.
It feels like it's coming though, doesn't it?
I feel like I'm starting to soak in the inevitability of it all. To the point where you're like, you find it hard to defend apart from the fact there's some things you like about the bloke and the man. But in terms of the football, it's hard to kind of hang your hat on something that you can say is enough that you can see a way out of what's currently going on.
Yeah. It's a
tough sell. It's a tough sell, but there we go. I'm sure if you're not a Man United fan, you're having a great time. This is what we provide inspirations and dreams. Is what we do. And what you can do to get inspirations and dreams is follow these wonderful people, my wonderful co-hosts for this evening. Grimmy, where do you provide your inspirations and dreams? Talk about an in-depth question to finish off.
I mean, how do I even unpack that one? Good job, I've got a few minutes. No, if you want to follow me on X/Twitter, I'm Grimmy16 on there. I'm Saint Grimmy on YouTube if you want to see my stuff on there. And I have a wrestling podcast that we work on with a good friend of mine and Sam's, Bragster. Unfortunately, he is a Liverpool fan. He does have that going against him, but we struggle through. We make it through most days. And we're on a wrestling podcast called Taking the Pin. So check that out if you're a wrestling fan, basically.
Taking the pin. I have a wrestling question for you, Grimmy, for me. What is WrestlePalooza all about? Has this always been a thing? Is this a new thing?
WrestlePalooza was basically an old pay-per-view they had. I think it was ECW maybe had it. Back in the day, and they've brought it back because they're doing obviously the special with ESPN, so they wanted to give it something of an old origin name and jazz it up a bit.
Okay, the fountain of all knowledge, you see. That's why you should watch Taking the Pin for your.
And we've done a preview of that show, which will be coming out in the next couple of days. So
very exciting. Go and check it out. And Heather, where can everybody find you for inspiration, hopes, dreams, and just winning football matches constantly?
I'm on Hedgehog73 everywhere, but I'm taking a bit of a social media break at the moment, so you might not be able to find me. I think my Instagram, I just deleted the app, so you'll find me on there, but Twitter you probably won't be able to find. So
you can't find Heather unless she's on the podcast.
Yeah. Where can you find? You can't. You just cannot. You cannot. But one day maybe you will, but not right now. And you can find me at Sam Absolute FBL on Twitter, on TikTok, on bits and pieces, doing stuff, but mostly on the Absolute Football Podcast. If I can find, no, I can't because I've clicked the wrong button. It's here. It's somewhere. It's there. There it is. The socials, the social slide. We are the Absolute Football Podcast. We are the best new content creator at Football Content Awards. It's official. The trophy exists somewhere in South Wales. It
has been held hostage.
Mr. Josh is taking careful care of it. We have 4 shows now live a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Monday, of course, we didn't yesterday. Shah had some important stuff to do with in terms of her club ambassador role and bits, so she wasn't on yesterday. But they will be back next week with the Absolutely Non-League show. That is in partnership with NL Full-Time, talking everything National League North and National League South. On Tuesday, of course, it's the Absolutely Premier League show. Maybe one week when we do a Champions League watch along. That might be fun. While we're going on with that, if we get a good game, something that might be a fun one to watch. And then on Wednesday, the Absolutely Women's Football Show. Freya and Team Chaos are back tomorrow, talking WSL and WSL2 Matchday 2. Man United have won twice out of 2 games there. That's the place to be. It's a wonderful story. And on Thursday, it's the Absolutely Lower League show with Shah and the Rowdy Rabble, talking Championship, League One and League Two. You can be a YouTube member. What do you get? Well, you get benefits of, you've got emojis on the chat. You get stuff gets popped up and things. There's special episodes, interviews that you can watch with the team that is behind the sort of membership bit that you can see. Lots of things and more things coming with that as well. Juve have scored a third goal, so Spenny fan Chris, we're on the verge of a double Desi possibility with moments to go.
Don't spoil my dreams, Sam. Come on, let's make this happen.
It could be a possibility we could get it. We are 8:30 live on those 4 days. We also have our new Women in Football series, which Char's been doing a tremendous job in terms of speaking to some fantastic women in different footballing sort of positions. That's players, that's coaches, that's physios, that's people in the media, content creators, Her Game 2 ambassadors. And we are, of course, in partnership with the wonderful Her Game 2, which, of course, Heather was also a part of as well. That's very exciting. They are every Sunday. We have 4 episodes currently, so do go and check that out. Wonderful chat with Gabby Laurent of Borkham and the stuff that she does in terms of her sort of content role there, and fantastic stories that she has. So do check that one out. We are everywhere on the socials, on Twitter, Absolute Ball Pod, on YouTube, Absolute Football Podcast, the same on Twitch, TikTok, Absolute Football Pod, Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky, we're Absolute Football, and on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. So there you are. We've covered it all. There's plenty to watch and to see. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you're enjoying the football. Do enjoy the midweek Champions League and the League Cup. Grimmy and I will watch on from afar with nothing to cheer or commiserate for a few days at least.
I'll just enjoy the fact that I don't have to watch football, which will inevitably upset me. I can just watch it as a neutral, enjoy it for what it is. That's all I can do at this point.
It's how the beautiful game was designed to be enjoyed. But have a wonderful Grimmies. Are the Grimmies frozen? Had a moment. It's a double Desi. A double Desi.
Oh my god!
Is there a better way to end?
I switched it on, and he's headed it in the back of the net. Come on, double Desi.
4, Dortmund 4. That's 2 Desmonds. That's a 4-4. What a way to end a podcast. Double Desmond. Catch you next week. Ciao for